Good evening and welcome. You now are seeing the seventh part of an 8-part series concerning your schools in action in Forest Lake. And I am very excited to be here to introduce a part of the school system that a lot of people are not aware of in its entirety and how it functions. And we are fortunate enough to have Dr. Mattson with us today on my far right. I've got Debbie, I got you on my second from the far right, I've got Sue in the center, and I got Julie right next to me. And we're going to talk about community education and what is it, how does it function, where does it fit in with the school district, and all the necessities to answer the questions of when people all of a sudden say, how much is it to get my kid to play a sport, then they can know, they can look at you and go, I saw you on TV and you're the one that told me it cost me another $50 to $55. So anyway, what I want to do is start off. Dr. Mattson, would you be so kind to give a overview of community ed?
Well, certainly, and I think a lot of folks maybe aren't aware that community ed is part of the school district. So the umbrella is the school district, and community ed is part of that. They have a separate funding source, so their budget is separate from the general fund budget. And again, many times people aren't aware of that either, that they work to be self-sufficient, to make sure that their budget is in the black at the end of the year. And so, right, and so that is that is certainly a goal, and Julie works on that, of course, all throughout the year. And each of the folks that are involved in the different programming in community ed are concerned with that piece, as well as programming for all sorts of people within our community. Young children participate in community education, school-age children, young adults, and folks that are older all participate in a variety of activities that we have in community ed. We have a rich history here in community ed. We are celebrating the 40th year of community ed, and I'm sure there'll be some conversation about that. We had a great celebration in the Ranger Review. And that was also to earn money to help with scholarships for maybe community members that can't afford particular classes, et cetera, so to assist them as well. But we've had a rich history here around community ed. We work closely. Julie is the director of community education, and we have 4 other directors that are in the district that work in special ed, finance, HR, and teaching and learning. And Julie is part of the cabinet that talks about issues throughout the district. So she doesn't just focus on community ed, but is a valuable part of that team. Just like as she brings, ideas and thoughts about community ed to that group, even though we aren't the experts there, we have some great conversations about that. Also, we're fortunate that Julie has been a teacher in the district, or was a teacher in the district, and we in fact started the same year. A few years ago, and
a few years ago?
A few years ago, yes. And so she has that background as a classroom teacher, as an elementary teacher, prior to moving into the director of community education. So we have as I say, a great program. Our community, I think, knows that. Maybe there are some components, however, that they're unaware of, and so that's why we're here tonight to talk a little bit about that.
Well, as everybody knows, we have a bond issue coming up, and we are trying to educate the voter with all the information that's needed to make a good decision. And this is one part of the overall plan. And community education, a lot of people just think it just automatically happens. It just it is there, and they don't understand it. So with that being said, seeing Julie, you are ahead of it, why don't you tell us what you do?
I would love to tell you I'll tell you what we all do, because I have a great staff that does the majority of the work, and I'm just here to make sure that things run smoothly and to support. But as you mentioned, this is Sue Griffin. She runs our aquatics program, and I think she'll tell you a little bit more about that.
Oh, I'll be getting with her.
Yes. We have a very rich history of a great aquatics program, and it's very meaningful to many people in our community. We have programming for children from birth, actually, at our early childhood center, all the way up through our oldest adults, senior citizens, whoever wants to participate. And our job really is to sort of wrap our arms around the rest of the school district. As Linda said, we are a part of the school district, but we're sort of our own branch, if you will. And we do the things that happen before school. We do the things that happen after school. We do the things in the evening, on the weekends, the enrichment, the adults. So where the K-12 is the bulk of the school district program, we do a lot of the things that wrap around that. So hopefully that answered your question.
Well, it does. I'm getting back. One of the biggest voting blocks in Forest Lake area are the seniors. And now, are you involved with the senior center?
Actually, we do partner with a lot of different community organizations. And one of the things that we do through Community Ed is a program where we work with other volunteers to help provide winter clothing for children in our district. And so I work really closely with Sharon over at the Senior Center, and because of that collaborative effort that we do there, I also work with her on a lot of things and get input from them. The Ranger Review, which we've mentioned a little bit, which was one of our celebratory events for our 40th year. We invited people from the Senior Center, and I spoke with Sharon, and we had a number of people who came to participate. So yes, we do have great interaction with our seniors, but again, Sue, with our aquatics piece, has one of our biggest senior involvement piece with her aquatics.
And we're going to Sue right now.
Great.
Now with the aquatic program, is the aquatic program just with the usage of the swimming pool, or do you have other facilities that the aquatic program is involved with, such as, muscle toning, things of that nature that would be non-water sport?
That's not part of my job. My job is just managing the swimming pool for the district. Julie, just to go off on what Julie said a little bit with the senior citizens, we offer a senior citizen exercise class that is running on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's from 2 to 3 in the afternoon. It's at a time of the day when school is done, and it's just before the swim teams start practicing, so it's kind of an hour of that's kind of vacant. And we have at least 75 senior citizens that are involved some way or another in that program. And that, when I started 22 years ago, there were 5. So it's really, really growing. Classes are usually 24, 25 to 30 people every Tuesday and Thursday. It's a group of people that are really committed to this district because that pool is that important to them. And it's just a wonderful, I think those are the people that see going beyond what their tax dollars can do for them by being able to use a facility in our school district.
With coming up with the tax dollar part of it, what's the condition of the pool in comparison to pools in other communities around us?
We have a small pool. It's just a small 6-lane pool with a very shallow. Well, it's 10 feet deep in the deep end, and it was built back in 1982, which makes it 30-some years old.
32,
Yep. At that time, those pools were built. All the school pools were pretty much built the same way. Today, though, that pool, if we did any major work on the pool as it is right now, it would not be deep enough to have a diving board usage in there because of the way that pool was built. So, we do the best with what we have. I know that if we had a better facility, that we would be able to do more for this community, and they deserve it.
One of the things that comes up is that we are not able to host some real high-level competitive
Yep.
swimming meets.
And that's true.
And is it because the diving tank is too small? Is it because there's not enough lanes for swimming? Or is it all the above?
It's probably a little bit of all of that. Also, we don't have enough room around the sides of the pool. There's a bleacher section that's actually on the ground level. Most pools that host these large events, have them raised, giving them more
deck.
space, deck space. And again, it's not, yes, it's totally not having enough, it's not big enough, and it's not deep enough.
The programs that you have forth with the youth, you got from little, small infants.
6
to
months old, they start.
6 months old.
Yep.
To,
My oldest person using the pool right now is 92 years old,
really,
really.
that's great.
And I had 5 of them in their
That is
90s.
even
And they
better.
love Sue.
And I really believe that those people are healthy today because of the fact that they have been using that pool.
Yeah, we have a friend that is one of the 92-year-olds. So,
You do?
yeah,
Okay.
so and she's a real strong proponent, of
Yes.
the pool, so.
It's a community. These people love each other. It's not just the exercise, it's the getting out of their home, it's getting together, it's the socialization of being together. It's like a family up there.
That's, if I could just interject.
Well, of
when
course.
Sue said it's a social piece for people as well, and we've found that with a lot of our community education things, it helps people to be connected to their community and to meet people and to really feel like they are a part of the community. I go back to our fitness classes and et cetera. We have fabulous instructors. And I will actually say that I hold my hand up and say I participate in a lot of those, and they're really, really fun. But as a lot of people would tell you, I could go home and do some of that by myself. I could put in a tape, and sometimes I do, but I don't get nearly the quality of the experience that I do by being with my friends, meeting other people, socializing. In fact, Debbie got involved in community ed. And part of the reason why she came was because she wanted to meet people in our community, so maybe she would like to.
I'm going there. I'll tell you what, let me change chairs with you again. You come over here and I'll sit. Okay.
I was a kindergarten teacher, what can I say?
Hey,
We
I'll
sort
tell
of do those things.
Okay,
so.
now Debbie, how long have you been in the community?
We moved here about 7.5 years ago.
Okay, and you got involved with, with the community services type of program. Why?
Well, we used to live closer to Minneapolis, and back there I was involved with my 2 small children in their preschool classes. So right away when we moved up to Forest Lake, I realized that was the perfect opportunity to put my kids in the preschool class again, and like Julie said, to get know more people in the community. So right away I went to the Central Learning Center and found out what preschool classes they had available and signed up my 2 smaller children for those preschool classes. And then 6 months later had another baby and put her into their birth classes, where her and I did class together. So it was a great way to, like she said, meet the people in the community. My neighborhood is great. My neighbors came over and met me, but I just wanted to get out more and meet more people that had smaller children like me.
We've got a very friendly community.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's wonderful.
It is. It's very friendly, and over the years, I agree with you. That's how I got to know so many people in this community, was because of my kids.
Right.
It wasn't because of me. It's because of my kids being active.
Well, I still have friends, 7.5 years later that I met in those preschool classes, and our kids have grown up together, and those friends are a part of me now because of those preschool classes.
Now, coming from Minneapolis area, how does the program compare here to down there? And does it offer similar kind of opportunities, more opportunities? What would you like to see that the community ed program could offer that isn't now?
Well, like when I moved here 7.5 years ago, my children were very small. And so I really wasn't aware of all the community programs that was offered in my old community. I just was aware of the preschool program, so I guess I can't compare apples to apples there because I didn't know any of the other programs. But what I was amazed at is when I stepped into that Central Learning Center and saw what other activities that I could be involved in, my husband could be involved in, and as my children were growing, that grew with my children, I was very impressed. And so that's what really draws me into community education, is that we want to try something, and community ed usually has what we want to try, and we can just try it in a small tidbit for a reasonable price before we go the full gamut. An example would be Taekwondo. Community Education offers a Taekwondo program for people ages 6 to 100, and we wanted to sign up my 6-year-old for it, and he didn't want to. And on the computer one night, I signed him up, and when I told my husband the next day, my husband went, "Good job." And I said, "And I signed you up right along with him." So my 6-year-old
That
and
was
my
that
husband-
still a good job?
It was, yeah. He said, "Well, I guess if I'm going to talk the talk, I better walk the walk." And they did community education Taekwondo together. And then my husband unfortunately had to stop due to an injury, but my son is now a 2nd-degree black belt with the academy that went through community education to offer those classes. So it was great to just try it, see if he liked it before we enrolled full gamut.
That is good.
Yeah.
Julie, just for curiosity, how big is your budget?
Our community education budget is
Yes.
about $4 million.
Okay.
We do receive some of that funding from the state for a couple of specific programs. Debbie talked about early childhood. We have lots of different levels of early childhood participation, but 2 of the programs that we offer, one of them is called Early Childhood Family Education, and that's offered throughout the state. And young children come with a family member, an adult. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, grandmother, grandfather can be. We have a range of people who participate, but those classes, we get some subsidy from the state in order to pull, get people to have that opportunity. And there's a sliding fee scale. So based on people's income, that helps determine how much assistance they get. And then the parents or grandparent who participates with the child also receives a parent education component. So we have licensed teachers at our early childhood center that have a preschool license or early childhood license, and some of them also, or instead, have a parent education license, and that's a really big piece of our program because parents or grandparents can come and get answers to child rearing or other questions through that program. So that's one of the things that we get funding from the state. And then we also have School Readiness, which is a similar program, but it grows on need-based. And then we have independent preschool, which doesn't have funding, which is self-supported, as Linda said. Our goal isn't to make money. That's one of the things that we kind of hold up with activities that are going on. We put them at a cost that is as affordable as we can make them so that we can sustain without losing money. Because if we lose money, then that's not good for community. That won't be good for me, but it certainly won't be good for community ed. So we also get some funding from our ABE program, which is Adult Basic Education. And then school-age care, if we have children who have disabilities, we have some funding there. So approximately 25% of our funding comes from the state, and the other 75% is gathered through revenues that people pay to participate. But again, we're trying to break even. That's our goal, not to make money, but we want to break even. So
Sue, now how big is your budget?
It's about $200,000.
Okay.
We usually have, I would say, last year's participation was we took in about 2,200 swimming registrations last year. And I'm not saying that those are all different families, but that's how many we did throughout a whole year. We run 4 different sessions. We have a fall, winter, spring, and then a summer session. And we're open 7 days a week during the school year. Monday through Friday, we're open from 5 o'clock in the morning until 9:30 at night. On Saturdays, we start at 5 in the morning with some of the high school teams coming in and practicing, and then we run until 2:30 in the afternoon. Sundays, we run lap swims, which are highly attended. I would have never thought being on a Sunday, but at 11:30 on Sunday, we're getting at least 20 people swimming laps. And then we run a recreational swim until about 2:30 in the afternoon. During the summer, we're not open on the weekends. We're open Monday through Friday, and again, we're open 5:30 in the morning until about 9:30 at night.
So you got a pretty big staff that you have to have there.
Yes, yep, I do. I'd say about 25 different people are working for me, all part-time. There's I'm really the only full-time position on the aquatic staff.
I see. Debbie, when you, the programs that you're involved in and that, what type of budget are you working with to exercise and get your programs running?
Well, it depends on the program. You know, I understand that some of the programs cost a little bit more money because of the coaches. But, you know, I would say for any of the sports activities that are offered, like my daughter does, she did volleyball in elementary school through community ed. My littlest one is doing soccer now. I understand those can be, you know, upwards of $100. But then also what I look for is after-school activities for my kid, something that's less expensive than daycare, but something that'll keep them busy after school. And that, you know, I'm willing to put in, you know, about $50 for them to go to an after-school activity.
Now, with, after we, this one was going to be shown before our final one that we taped earlier. When Dr. Mattson came forward with the GAP program, what did you come up with as something that you were looking for in the GAP program? Or were they not?
You know, community ed was certainly included in the gap analysis through strategic planning. But when we looked at the facilities, they certainly had a voice, and they, meaning the community ed staff, had a voice in that gap analysis because they're part of the district. You know, do we have enough gym space? You know, what about the pool? You know, I can say without having to look back at the report that in 2009 and in 2012, the need for a repair of the pool or an expansion of the pool or a new pool or an additional pool with bleachers, with locker rooms, I mean, all of those things were part of the gap analysis. So as we talk about that in 2009 and 2012, community ed was part of all of those conversations, looking from their perspective on facilities and what is needed. And so, you know, again, it would be gym space. We'd have enough classroom space for classes that take place. But the pool is certainly one that has been identified in both of those as something that you know, the community certainly utilizes, enjoys, but we could use an updated pool and more pieces to that as far as bleachers, locker rooms.
Right, and more
rooms.
programming. We
More
could do
programming.
way more programming if we had a better facility.
Well, and Greg,
Like what?
Well-
What could you do? This is your opportunity. You're talking to the community now.
Hey.
So you take advantage of this. This is your time.
Right now, this pool is being used by junior high teams are using the pool right after school, to the time that they get after school, all the way till 6 o'clock. Every day of the week, they get that, before community ed programming can start, which is at 6. We have got junior high teams and senior high teams practicing together at the same time because we don't have two different facilities or a large enough facility to have them each have their own space. We're talking about 65 plus girls on swim teams. We had over 45 on the boys swim team, and we have 65 plus on the synchronized swim team. That's a large number of people all trying to practice in this one little 6-lane pool, and divers going on at the same time. If we had a larger facility, you'd be able to have all these multi-groups working together at the same time more safely, and we'd probably be able to be offering something, again, to the community at the same time. Offer youth stroke clinics for the younger children, or swimming lessons right after school instead of them having to wait till 6 o'clock, and just making it more convenient for the public. Lap swimming, huge in our district. People are health conscious these days and they want to swim laps. We'd be able to be running many, many different activities all at the same time if we had a better facility.
What, in your opinion, would be in a perfect world, what would be a perfect pool?
I was on the committee that helped come up with the
That's why I'm
plans.
asking.
Yes, I mean,
Right.
I was really thankful, and it was really interesting for me to have a person really sit and listen to the coaches and to myself, the people that are running these things, to find out what do we need. And they came up with a two-pool plan. There'll be two pools. One would be your competitive type pool. You'd have a glass wall between that pool and then a smaller pool that would be our community pool. And that smaller pool would be kept warmer so that you'd have more of the warm water sort of skills. You can't teach swimming lessons to small children in 80-degree water. It's just too cold for them. You lose people
My wife
don't want it.
won't go in our pool
You
at
got
80
that,
degrees.
there you go.
So-
And the competitive people want the cooler pools. So, and the fact is, we had this glass, which was two different environments. So we were looking at how you would make these all work. Air temperatures would have to be different, so that's why this would work. And the fact that it was glass would be neat. You could see, these young people could see what a swim team looked like and what they were doing, and maybe look to one day being over there and doing the same thing again. Great feeder programs, doing it that way. There was gonna be lots of locker rooms. Entering the pool area all at the same place where you could have people gathering the money and taking tickets, all those kinds of things we don't have right now. Locker rooms, our locker rooms, we have a boy and a girl's locker room. You need family locker rooms these days. People want family locker rooms, and those would be the sorts of things that we were gonna.
You're gonna need a changing station
There we go,
area.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
just
and then,
as simple as
and right
that.
now, I'm sharing an office with all the swim coaches, all my staff. I don't, it's hard when you have all these people in the same little room. It would have been nice to, it would be nice to have an office for just the staff, an office for the pool director, and then probably another room that we could do our training in.
Right, and there's a classroom that's part of that as well, and then this is located in the plan at Century. And so, it's labeled the Aquatic Center if you go on the website and look at those floor plans. There's also additional parking that's there because we know that there will be more people that will utilize that. And this is the process, as the board moved ahead and said, yes, now cost this out. So we know what we're actually dealing with. That's when we were very busy last summer bringing together people. We have experts in the district like Sue. But then we bring in outside experts as well, that's what they do every day is look at aquatics facilities and what's needed and what's out there and what's the latest. Coaches would come in, et cetera. So we did that with the pool. But then, for example, when we talked about, and this isn't community ed, but as part of the whole bond piece, if we're going to bring ninth graders to the high school, do we have enough space for kids to eat lunch? So
That's a basic problem, too.
right. So
I mean, and I'm not being facetious.
Right.
We had that problem.
So we brought someone in that's their area of expertise. So they talk about dry storage, they talk about frozen storage, serving lines, the space where kids actually eat, and looking at how many kids are going to be there, how many lunches are we going to have. Again, our principals are there, our food service staff is there, and outside experts to look at that. And what was interesting, we were all sure, who were not the experts, that we would have to increase the space where kids would sit. And that wasn't the case. We could keep that the same, but we needed to have more serving lines. So we needed to do different kiosks almost throughout the cafeteria, and just by doing that, we could serve the increase in students and really did not have to make many dramatic changes at the high school, except I think it was for dry storage is what we needed to increase. But as we looked at all of those, so in your question, I mean, we had so many staff involved in so many ways with this, but one of the main features, certainly, and it's been talked about for as long as I've been here, it seems like, is as soon as it was built, the need for a second pool, the need for more, bigger facilities, because the community utilizes the pool so much.
It's really an asset.
Well, what you're talking about with the pool is the same thing that is with the ice complex. one side is used for a lot of different things with a lot of people, and the one side is used for figure skating and hockey and for boys and girls and everything. And so in essence, what you're saying is just what there is over there. It's just one happens to be wet and one of them
One's hard
Frozen.
and
Yeah.
one's, yeah.
you know, but in essence, the same philosophy.
Right.
The same philosophy. Well, Julie, in a perfect world, how would you like to see community ed get expanded and be able to do more for the community?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I think earlier you asked Debbie, how does our program here in Forest Lake look compared to the program in Minneapolis? And one of the things that's really unique about community ed is it looks very, very different everywhere you go, because the goal of the program is to meet the needs of the community, and everybody's community obviously is individual, and we have a great community here. And so where would I see us going in a perfect world? Actually, I think that right now we're doing, at least from the perspective that I have, we're doing a really good job of meeting the needs of the community that we have. We haven't had specific things where people have come to us and said, wow, we really wish we had X. If somebody does come to us with a problem or a question like that, or a need, then we do our best to try to fulfill that. That being said, we have a plethora of fine fitness classes, which I commented about. Unfortunately, we don't have air conditioning in all the spaces that we use. So in the summer when it's hotter and people want to continue, we have to really work hard to make the best environment possible for classes like that. So we have some things related to facilities that we definitely could have, we could do some different things maybe, but I think actually, I never want to say that we don't want to grow, because we always want to grow, but if there are things that people want, they need to bring their ideas to us, and we'll do our best to make them a reality.
Dr. Mattson, is the district growing?
As far as number of students?
Yeah, number of students.
Number of students, no, we're maintaining, and we've also, there's been some slight decline. So we look at it as, just maintaining, the numbers that we have, and that's our goal. The number of school-age children in the district is less than what it has been before, but there are also many options for parents as well. So, with, open enrollment and charter schools, et cetera, and we have some, fine options in our area. So, as far as the children that are school age, we hope to just maintain the numbers that we have.
With that, Julie, I want to come back to you then. How do you get a lot of students from the charter schools in your program?
Actually, the community education program is open to everyone who resides in the district. In fact, if you don't reside in our district, you can also participate, but district residents in most situations would have priority for the activities. But we run programming at the other schools in town based on what the needs are and what they would like us to do. And, it's an interesting thing because we have been thoughtful, and I don't take the credit for this. I mean, Dr. Mattson is fabulous about trying to form partnerships and things with everyone else in the community, and so in a lot of cases, community education can help to be a conduit to help bring people from all different parts of our district into our program and our schools. So hopefully did I answer your question there, Greg? You're looking at me like,
Well,
I'm not sure if that's what you...
you answered the question. Sue, how would you, in the aquatic side of things, do you have a lot of non-residents participating in your program?
This district is so large.
Oh, it's huge.
It is. I
It's
mean, you
huge.
look at how far it goes to the east and how far it goes to the west, and then north. There are people at the northern tip that have to drive almost 30 minutes just to get to the pool here in Forest Lake. It's a pool. I was at North St. Paul Maplewood before I came to this district. I had no idea what we were getting into with the traveling. There, it was condensed.
Yep.
Everybody lived within 15 miles of that pool, and they didn't have to go very far. you have to rethink even how late can you offer swimming lessons to children, because parents don't want to be driving out even at 7:30 at night. A class ends at 7:30, those children aren't home sometimes until 8:15 or 8:30. That's late on a school night. So you really have to think differently. And when you can't offer things except from 6 o'clock on, that makes it kind of tough to try and get everybody in. A lot of Saturday classes work for people, but I draw quite a bit from outside the district. I do draw from the Chisago district. I do get some from the White Bear area, the northern Hugo kind of White Bear area. But the most of them are probably our district people. And again, just because this area is so big, they come from East Bethel. I've got them coming from Cedar. I've had them coming from Rush City in the summertime. That's pretty far. But
Well,
there's
to
not a
use the
whole
swimming
lot, there's
pool it
not a
is, yeah.
whole lot north of us. You know, we are really, except for Chisago School District, there's not a whole lot of pools north of here.
Well, and I would just interject that one of the things that Sue works really hard with her staff when she talked about approximately 25 people, most of them, first of all, have grown up with Sue at our pool. Almost all of them are kids who started learning how to swim and just kept with it and went through life-saving and did, the whole thing, or lifeguarding. But also, she really helps her staff to see the value of really helping every person, and when they come there, to have a great experience. And I probably almost everyone here I can tell you about an experience my son had, and if it hadn't been for Sue's well-trained staff, he's now 23 years old, but when he was 5, he wasn't all that excited about going into the water, and if it wasn't for the real strong personal attention to making sure that he had a great experience, I don't know if he ever would have learned how to swim. So
I do
customer
understand.
service is a great piece, and we really work hard in community ed, as we do in the whole school district, to help people to be happy with their experience and to make it as positive for them as we can.
I think one of the things that Julie does as well to keep a connection with the community, she has an advisory board for community ed, and and of course their job is to talk about what they hear in the community, what they would like to see, things that are positive. Sometimes you're not sure about the things that you're doing and how well they're received, and sometimes it's a very pleasant surprise to hear about how well they're received. So I think that advisory board too is very helpful, and it also helps give gauges, what maybe should be added, changed, that sort of thing. So I know that that's a very active board, and they do a great job.
I never knew that the pool was that heavily utilized. The people I know that participate at it, I've only known 2 families that their sons were, on the swim team. And, it was always a standard joke, and mine was in hockey. So he goes, yeah, I could afford to buy a whole lot of Speedos for what it cost for,
Yeah.
for that.
And goggles, huh?
We'd be laughing about that, but that is a very interesting fact too, that I don't think that probably the community is fully aware of how much utilization the pool does get.
Yep, it does. And, it's a little bit different, I think, learning to swim from other sports. I'm just going to say, I think every person in Minnesota needs to learn to swim.
I agree with you.
It shouldn't be a choice. We should be able to offer this to everybody. And I've tried to make that a commitment to doing that for this district. And, I think we need to make people aware that it just has to be done. Everybody needs to know how to swim here in Minnesota.
It was a mandate for my kids. There was no,
So,
they had no option.
Yep.
But they ended up taking their swimming lessons down on the beach.
Yep.
And of course that was many moons ago.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm starting my 22nd year here, and it's really it's really hard when I see the little kids that I started out with in my little preschool classes have now gone, they're captains of swim teams. They're going on to college now and on teams at college and stuff. So it's really a good feeling to feel that, to see these kids grow up here, and it's just a great place to be. Yeah, the pool has always drawn really good people, so.
That is interesting. Debbie, the programs that you're involved with, tell us a little bit about what you're involved with community ed.
Well, like I said, when we started, it was early childhood family education, and now my kids are school age, so they participate in community ed through track, the after-school program at their schools. My daughter's done volleyball. My little one's in soccer. We've done the Watch Me Draw after-school class. We've done the Legos class. And then my husband has taken ping pong, and he took Taekwondo with my son, and then he took Spanish too. So, and then I just drive them to all their activities. And
She does Zumba too.
And then with early childhood family education, I was on the parent group there, so the Parent Advisory Council. So we've almost done every single possible activity there is to do in that catalog in one way or another.
What catalog, you say?
This catalog.
Show it, go ahead and show it. That catalog.
Linda mentioned our advisory council, and I can't thank our community members who participate there enough, because they are such a valuable part of what we do and helping us to make sure that we are meeting the needs. And we actually do have two councils. We have a community education at large council, so they help give us advice and help us with our planning and all kinds of things for the whole community ed program. And then we also have the Parent Advisory Council, which Debbie was talking about, which is families in our early childhood center. And actually, both of those councils are a requirement that because we receive state funds, we are required to have those groups. But I can tell you that if we weren't required, we would still have them, because they're so valuable, and the work that they do is awesome. So.
That's interesting that you'd have an unfunded mandate like that, you know.
Well, they're volunteers, so.
Well, but I'm saying, I mean, it shows that there's a definite value of what the community is getting, and you know, all that can happen is, you know, with the whole purpose for our TV show is for the enlightenment of the community for the bond issue. I almost fell over when Larry Martini gave the information he gave me. I said, Larry, you got to take out a full-page ad in a newspaper and, you know, and tell people this information, because it's not something that the public is aware of, you know. So, you know, with that being said, and what you're participating in, you guys have got, obviously the public are going to realize the passion that you guys have for what you're doing, which is that's more exciting than what you're doing, because you're showing the enthusiasm, and it resonates, and it's going to resonate to everybody that you guys are involved with, and that's what this whole thing is about, and that's what the whole series for the TV show is about, is to get people involved, get them so that they have a real understanding of what everything is going on. Well, we're going to wrap up the show now, and I'm going to give Debbie a first crack at, is there anything that you would like to say as a closing statement? Here it is. This is your community.
I think just watch for the community ed catalog every time it comes out, and if something catches your eye, sign up for it. It's a low cost, fun community thing that everyone can get involved in.
Sue?
I think I've said almost everything I can say.
No, you're good. Here it is. This is your time.
All right, I want a really nice fancy pool. So that's
Right across the street.
Yeah, that would be great to have a new facility, so I could offer more programs for all the people in this community, and that every child in this this area would have a chance to learn how to swim.
Julie?
You may not have guessed it, but Sue's really committed that everyone should know how to swim.
And I agree with that statement, and I wholeheartedly back you on that statement. Everybody in this community should know how to swim. After all, what are we? You know,
Lake,
a state
yeah.
of lakes.
Yeah.
Come on, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay, Julie, what would you like to?
Well, I would just really like to thank you for the opportunity to share information about community education. It's a fabulous resource for our community, and I am very blessed to have a great staff, so I really want to thank them. But I, most of all, just want to thank everyone in our community who supports what we're doing and comes to our events and comes to activities. And I encourage you to give us a try. Like Debbie said, our catalog comes out 3 times a year. Well, she didn't say that. She said watch for it. But it comes out, the next one will come out in the fall, so in August. It's all online, so if you don't have the current catalog, which outlines a lot of summer activities, you can find us online or you can call our office. We are dedicated to customer service, and we want everybody to be happy with what they do with us. So thank you.
Dr. Mattson, this is your time.
Well, it's been exciting to, hear and to listen to the thoughts about the future, with facilities, but with community ed, and they do a great job of planning and looking to the community and seeing what the needs are. At the same time, as we celebrate the 40th anniversary of community ed, I just want to take a moment to thank the current community ed director, which is Julie Oman, as she does a great job of leading the community ed department, and then also the 2 previous directors. Stan Peterson was the first community ed director in Forest Lake, and then was followed by Dan Popard. And they both, did a great job of getting the program started, truly. Stan Peterson from the very first days, and then Dan carrying that through for many years, and then Julie as well. So it really is kind of that look back as we look at 40 years, but also that look ahead to what we might be able to do in the future.
Well, ladies, with that being said, I would like to thank our audience, and you're the winners of this, is for viewing, watching this program. And I will tell you that we, once again, this is all about you, and this is all about the school needs and the bond issue. Look at that slogan back there, success, it all starts here. And everyone that's watching, just make sure you get out and vote on May 20th. I want to thank you all for taking the time to view the show, and I hope that you got as much out of it as I got out of it. And with that being said, good night.